I'd like to go over contains duplicate 2. And the idea here is that it's giving you an array. It's providing an array. And it's also providing in the method signature, it's also providing k, which is a parameter pass, to this method called contains nearby duplicate. And the idea is we want to return true if there are two distinct elements I and j, or indices rather, I and j, in the array such that the elements that the indices refer to are equal. And the other condition is that the difference between their indices has to be less than or equal to k. So to sort of simplify this, I've written a note here. In conclusion, you're given an array and you're also given an integer k, and you're given two distinct elements. Okay. And you're supposed to find two distinct elements where they're both equal, and the absolute value of the indices that belong to the equal elements must be less than or equal to k. Now, the idea here is to store the elements in a hash map with their respective index, okay, as we move along. So as we're looking through the array, where we're storing these in a hash map so that we have O of 1 constant lookup time to the element as well as the indice that belongs to the element. So this is essentially what a mapping does for us. So in Java, how that would look like is we can say map, and we're mapping an integer value to another integer value. And we'll say this is equal to it's an instance of a hash map object. And what I'm trying to say here is we're gonna have our standard for loop, and we're going to iterate for the length of the array. And all we're going to be doing here is we are going to say, map.put nums of I, which is the key that in our mapping, in our hash map, we're going to have a key value pair, and the nums of I will be the key, and the value that the key refers to is going to be the index. So we're actually going to put I. So we do map.put, and then the key is the element, and then I is the indice. However, what we're going to do here is, as we're looking at each element, we're going to ask ourselves, have we already put this element in the map before? Okay, so how do we do that? If so how do we check if the map, as we're looking through the array in linear time, how do we check if the map already contains a key that matches the element we're looking at? So we're going to say map dot contains key. So this is gonna return a Boolean value, either true or false. False if it doesn't, true if it does. If map dot contains a key, what it will be the key be? It will be nums of I. So if the map contains nums of I already, that means we are encountering a duplicate value. So basically what this means is, okay, I put this into my map with its respective index. I put this into my map with its respective index. I put this into my map with its respective index. And then now I'm at, as I was doing this, I was also asking myself whether or not I've already put something in the hash map that matches the element that I'm on. And I have, because we're looking at 1 here. And 1 was already put in the hash map before with its respective index. And so all I have to do at 1 is I have to say, okay, well, go to the hash map. Okay, we know that map.contains contains this key. So go to the hash map and get the indice and then subtract the indice we're on. So go to the hash map, take the indice that we're on, take the indice that the value refers to in the hash map, subtract them, and see if it's less than or equal to k. So we know that at this point we're encountering an element that's a duplicate. And so now we're going to perform that logic, which is going to the hash map, getting the indice of the duplicate element, getting the indice that we're currently on, and then subtracting them. And the absolute value of map.get nums of I. So if I do map.get nums of I, that's going to go to my map and get the indice of my duplicate value, because the indice was the key that we were was the value that we were storing, and nums of I is the key. So I'm going to get the key associated with nums of I. and I'm going to subtract the I that we're currently on, and I'm gonna take the absolute value of this. So I have, this is me getting the key, getting the value of the duplicate. And this is taking the absolute value of all of this. And then I'm asking myself whether it's less than or equal to the value K. And if it is, I return true. And if it's not, then, I'll just put it in the array or in the hash map with its respective element. And if you can essentially go through this entire for loop without ever having returned true, then you might as well just return false, because there is no such element.